Hello, and welcome to Breast Cancer Conversations, a podcast brought to you by SurvivingBreastCancer.org. I am Laura Carfing, breast cancer survivor and founder of SurvivingBreastCancer.org, a nonprofit organization providing community, education, and resources to empower those diagnosed with breast cancer and their caregivers from day one and beyond. Hello, my friends. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in to another episode of Breast Cancer Conversations, where we talk about all things breast cancer, whether you're getting your steps in and taking walks, whether you're sitting in an infusion chair or lying horizontal and just recovering from surgery, wherever you are through your breast cancer diagnosis, just know that you are not alone. You have a whole family of us here at SurvivingBreastCancer.org and Breast Cancer Conversations supporting you. Today we are joined with Andrea. You may have heard her story earlier in another episode. I'll link to that below. And today she's going to go into some deep dive topics about surgery. She has been through so many surgeries and ultimately decided to end up with a breast form, a prosthetic. So Andrea is going to share her experience about that, as well as enlighten us on some questions that we should consider when shopping for a prosthetic. Today's episode is sponsored by our friends at Amoena. Again, I am so grateful for them. They have been such huge supporters of surviving breast cancer and our podcast. So a huge shout out to them. Check them out at Amoena.com. They sell prosthetics and breast forms. They also sell bathing suits, lingerie, and all sorts of supplies that you may need after a surgery so that you can comfortably recover. So thank you, Amoena, again, for being a sponsor of today's episode.
A lumpectomy and then a mastectomy and then tissue expansion and an implant put in and then the other side. I was a healthy person. The things that happened to me shouldn't have happened to me, but they did.
Welcome to the conversation. When you're going through breast cancer surgery, ask your surgeon how many surgeries are going to be involved. I think sometimes we get into the misconception that it's a one and done, but yeah, exactly, right? So you have this initial surgery and then you're waiting for the pathology to know if they're going to get these clear margins, right? So in your example where there were still cancer cells in the tissue, so they had to go back in. And then even after the expanders, needing another surgery to take out the expander and put in the implant. So I think these are just really important conversations to have early on. So mentally you can prepare for what that recuperation period is going to look like.
And your journey can change at different points. So for me, I had implants in, I met my husband, we got married, life was great. We moved from the UK to the US. My husband's American. We lived in the UK for a year, moved to America. And when I came here, I started to have some issues again. And I went to see an oncologist and a surgeon here. And they determined that they needed to go in, remove the implants, and there was tissue underneath the implants, and it all needed to come out. So they had to take everything out. And they were concerned about cancer in that area for me, because they kept saying, you're so young, we can't believe that you're so young and that you're still here. And now you're having these issues. Surely there's cancer underneath those implants. So what I did at that time was I had my implants taken out and I had a bilateral tram flap done. Now for me, that was 14 hours of surgery that I don't think I would do again if I was in that situation again. And again, this is just my choice. This is just my journey. I would never tell somebody, don't do something, because you need to make the right choice for you and be happy in your choice. And the reason that I say that I wouldn't do that again is because of the complications that occurred for me and to me, where I almost died twice as a result of that surgery. So things happened to me coming out of that surgery.
There are always risks associated with any surgery. What were some of the complications that you experienced?
Developed a blood clot on the left side through the night, had to go back to surgery. The main artery burst under my arm. They were running back to surgery with me, with the surgeon on the trolley, with me on, holding, running. And it was very much an emergency surgery. And it was 7 hours on the next day after my 14 hours. It was 3.5 hour surgeries back to back for me to come out of that. And then I had kidney failure. So my sweet husband, who I just, he can't even talk about it to this day. It makes him cry in how difficult that was, where he kept asking the nurses at the time, where's my wife? What's going on? And all that they could say was they're working on her. And this, for him was the longest day of his life. And then when they finally let him come into the recovery room, which they don't let spouses or partners or caregivers come into that room. And a nurse said to another nurse, you don't realize what that man has been through today and what she has been through. We need to let him in. So they let him come in, and there was tubes, coming out of my mouth. I couldn't speak, all this stuff. So it was it was devastating to both of us. And then at the end of it, my left side didn't work. It failed. So I have a right reconstructed breast, and my left breast is actually a prosthesis, because I, at that point, said, time out. I'm done. I will choose to wear a prosthesis instead. So I have worn an attachable contact form for 20 plus years. So my surgery actually was 25 years ago. My tram flap surgery was 25 years ago. And I've worn a contact form for just over 20 years. So, I don't want to scare people in that, in this journey. You can come in and out of this journey. You can come in and out of the journey that you're on with breast cancer, and not to scare you that you could have a recurrence, not to scare you, that you may choose you may have chosen not to do reconstruction after surgery, and you may then 10 years down the road go, you know what, I'm tired of these prostheses, I want reconstruction. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. And make sure that you're choosing the right surgeon for you. Make sure you ask all the questions. What are the things that can go wrong? Now, at the time of my surgery, my tram flap, I was 29, never smoked in my life, didn't drink alcohol. I stopped drinking alcohol when I was diagnosed with breast cancer because of the effects of alcohol when for cancer. And that's my own choosing. I was a healthy person. The things that happened to me shouldn't have happened to me, but they did. And, so make sure that you ask all the questions that you need to before you make the decisions, and make sure that you're the person making the decisions, not your partner, your spouse, family member. It's your decision. It's your body and it's your decision. So make that right decision for you. So important.
So empowering. Can you define what the tram flap is?
Yes.
I think sometimes we use these terms so interchangeably because we're in that world. But for people who are just listening and they're like, exploring.
So a tram flap is where they cut you from hip bone to hip bone, and then take an eye of tissue from hip bone to hip bone. And they take that tissue and they tunnel it up inside your body and pull it out through the opening of where a breast would be to make a breast mound. And so they take a piece of muscle with it so that they can take a blood supply to that tissue. And so they sell it to you as they say, it's a tummy tuck, because you have this incredibly flat stomach afterwards. But it adds inches to your waist because of how they then pull that skin back down to close you up. So it does add inches to your waist. It does give you an incredibly flat stomach. And to this day, my stomach is quite flat. Even though I've gained weight other places, sure. My stomach's still quite flat. And then the good things about, a natural tissue reconstruction is that it does gain and lose weight with you, like a natural breast would. Bear that in mind if you're doing that. But a deep flap, because you can do a deep flap as well, and a deep flap is where they take the tissue off completely and then reattach. Okay. So the tram flap is where they tunnel it up. Oh, so there are so many different types of reconstruction out there where they use, from your buttocks, your upper thigh, abdominal area. They can do a lat dorsi, which is where they take muscle and tissue from your back and then also add an implant. So there's many different types of reconstruction. And honestly, it's, research everything.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you're choosing the right reconstruction for you. I know that here, in America and, probably other parts of the world too, that when you're diagnosed, you go from diagnosis in to see a plastic surgeon almost sometimes at the same appointment, and I would just advise people to take enough time to make the right decision for you. You don't have to make a decision in 24 hours or a week or 2 weeks.
Right.
Breast cancer is not going to travel through your body that quickly that you can't take a week, so many days a week to think about what's right for you, to make that right decision for you.
Right.
And you can have your surgery and not have reconstruction and make that decision later. It's a very personal choice.
I couldn't agree more. And I really appreciate you outlining some of the reconstruction options that women can decide, and really to understand the difference between the tram flap versus the deep flap, and then all of the other opportunities people can use tissue to reconstruct their breast. But I want to circle back because we have been at Surviving Breast Cancer such great partners and friends with our friends at Amoena, where you currently work. Can you share with us more information about Amoena and their product line, telling us about prosthetics, breast forms? I mean, honestly, I don't even know where to begin. What type of questions should women be considering when they're on the market for a breast form or a prosthesis?
Amoena is a post-breast surgery company. So I don't call her a mastectomy company. It's post-breast surgery. So that all the products we make are for women after any type of breast surgery. So be that a breast cancer surgery, whether they've had a lumpectomy or a mastectomy, be it an augmentation or a reduction, any type of breast surgery, we have products for that. Amoena has been in business for 46 years and started in Raubling, Germany by a engineer student, a plastics engineer student. He made the first silicone breast form in his kitchen for an engineer project that he was working on. And anyway, Amoena was born at that point. And so we are a big company. We're in 69 countries and subsidiaries, just a fantastic company. So a company that I knew when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. We had Amoena products at the hospital where I worked. And a company then that I knew when I moved to America, I managed a post-breast surgery business for a lady here in Salt Lake. And so I knew Amoena then. I've known lots of breast care companies, but I particularly liked Amoena products. And as a prosthetist, it was about quality and innovation that I liked them. Mm-hmm. And then when I was approached by Amoena and offered a position, I thought it was the greatest thing ever, because to work for a company that, thinks about a woman and about helping regain her confidence on her journey at any stage of her journey, mm-hmm. whether, what surgery she's choosing, whether she's choosing to be reconstructed or she's choosing to wear a prosthesis or she's choosing to be augmented or breast reduction or whatever, to support her, and have her regain her confidence. It's a joy to work at a company that puts women first and makes these amazing products for these women.
I know we're recording this as an audio for the podcast, but is it possible for you to show or describe some of these prosthetics? I'm just really curious to learn more about them. The texture, are they heavy? How do they adhere to the body?
Well, I'll show you first the form that I wear. So I've put a nipple on it. I don't wear nipples on my prosthesis, but nipple prosthesis seem to be the most. Whenever we do the young survival events, they always want these nipple prosthesis. So you can see that.
So are they just adhesive?
It's a nipple prosthesis.
Okay.
It's very, very thin around the edges, you can see. And you can see light going through it. So what that does is it picks up the skin, the color of your skin underneath through it, and the edges blend in. So you can put it on any breast form. I'll put it back on this breast form so you can see. And it comes in 4 colors and 3 sizes.
Okay.
So this might not be the color that you'd put on this particular one. You might choose a lighter one. But so it's, and these are billable items. Insurance will cover these for ladies if they choose to put them. You can put on a reconstructed breast. You can put it on a breast form.
Yeah.
Most ladies who are bilateral don't really want nipples because we're happy that yippee,
right?
They don't have to show through everything.
Exactly.
But some people like that. So, but the prosthesis I wear is this particular one. Well, not this, this is the style that I wear.
Correct.
The reason that I love this style is that Amoena was the first company to make custom breast forms over 20 years ago. And the most common shape we made was this shape. So the most natural breast shape was that shape.
And
I find that true when I'm fitting ladies. Lots of ladies fit into this shape. And it's a standard silicone front, which I love because I love standard silicone. It's most natural feeling to a natural breast. And my other breast is a reconstructed breast that's soft like this.
Okay.
So I want to match that.
Exactly.
And a lightweight silicone is firmer. And so it feels a lot firmer to the touch. So it's really about what you're matching. So for me, this is why I like that. And then on the back side of this form, as you can see those little raised pearls?
Yes.
That's what allows the prosthesis to attach to the person.
Okay.
So it's an adhesive silicone. It's very calming to the skin, something that's used in ostomy supplies. So that attaches directly to the chest wall. And underneath that is a material called Comfort Plus. And what that does is it equalizes chest wall temperature and it draws the heat from your chest wall, locks it into the form and returns it to you. So what I love about this form is that when I started wearing it, I had small children. My children are now 24, 22 and 18. But at the time they were little and I'm, running around and then traveling for work. Very busy, very active. So when I would bend and move around, if I wore a prosthesis in the pocket of the bra, I always felt it moving and it irritated me because it irritated me and made me mad. I'm like, I don't need to be reminded that I don't have a breast on that side.
Right.
I want something that's attached to me and feels like it's a part of me. So that's why I choose to wear the contact form. And then the weight is on the chest wall. You don't feel the weight on your shoulder.
Okay.
It's the healthiest form if you have lymphedema or potentially to suffer, the potential to suffer with lymphedema because that weight's on the chest wall. So that's the one that I choose to wear.
Yeah. I want to back up 1 second about the shape and the form. So I didn't realize people could choose different shapes. Can you describe different the types of shapes? So that one would be more
totally
like
triangle, it's called the Luxor shape. So it's an asymmetric form, side specific.
Okay.
Most people when they go in to be fit into a store will be fit in a triangle form.
Okay.
And that's because it's very easy to fit with. And so we do have forms that are that triangle shape. This one though so breasts come shallow, average, full.
Okay.
So when your breast is up into a bra, it will be shallow, average, or full. Now this is a shallow one because there's no tissue here.
In the top upper part.
All the tissue is here in the lower portion of the breast.
Okay.
So the upper quadrant has nothing. That's a shallow breast. So this is a shallow form for somebody like that. Now this form here is an average fit form and it has more tissue up here than the one that I just showed you. So that's an average form. The one that I wear is a full form. It has more tissue here and it's full through the form.
Okay.
So there's 3 fittings, shallow, average, or full. And then breast forms come in a triangle shape, as I just showed you, asymmetrical shapes, which this is size specific. This tail goes to the right side. So if she's missing some tissue towards her underarm area, this will help fill that in. This is one that actually molds to the chest wall. It has a material that molds to them. And then we have a teardrop shape. I put a nipple on this one as well.
Okay.
So this is a teardrop shape that can be worn. So if she has a long, heavy breast, she'd wear this like this.
Okay.
Or if she has a full breast in the front, she'd wear it with the side going towards her underarm.
Yeah.
Let's see. So we have many different shapes.
That's actually really helpful.
So for different fits.
I had a full axillary node dissection. So underneath my arms, one, I do suffer from lymphedema, but then also I'm thinking as you're showing me these forms, like there is a little bit of an indent. And like how nice would it be to have a form that actually fills in some of those pockets?
Yeah. Yeah. It's really nice. And then we just launched something last year called an adapt air form. I've already put this in here to show you, but let me show you on this one. On the back of this form, there's a little plug right here, and you would take this out.
Okay.
And then you would insert this cannula in. So I've already done it on this one right here. But if I'm going to try and see if you can see, but as I pump this form, you can see air starting to go in the back of the form. Now, if that was sitting next to a chest wall, what it would do is it would fill in where it's needed. So if a lady has a concave chest wall or an uneven chest wall, it will fill in that area. So it will give her a custom fit breast form.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Unique to her, but it's off the shelf. And then the front also expands as well. And the need for a form like this, because you might think, well, what's the point? Who needs something like that? It's needed for, again, someone who has maybe an uneven chest wall. Maybe, she's on treatment and she's gaining or losing weight. She's been fit in a breast form. COVID's hit and she's gained 20 pounds or 30 if you're me.
I'm raising my hand over here too.
She can't afford to get a new breast form,
right.
And her insurance will consider coverage in 2 years. So it's nice then that she can just expand it up a little bit to make it a little bit bigger. Or maybe she doesn't feel, healthy enough to go in for another breast form fit in. So she can adjust this breast form to fit her needs. But then also bras give different shapes and different fits when we put different bras on. Some bras give a more relaxed fit, and some bras, if they're an underwire, will lift you. So your breast form then may not fit in every bra that you choose to wear. But if you have a form like this that adjusts, then you can adjust it and wear it in any bra that you want to. So it's really an incredible technology that I think is fantastic that we launched, just last year.
Yeah. So I'm curious because I had a lumpectomy on one side, and now one side is a little bit smaller than my other breast. Do you have anything for those of us who aren't quite even?
But we make partial prosthesis, and these are for ladies who've had maybe a lumpectomy, or maybe they've had reconstruction, and it's been 5 years, and maybe their remaining breast has grown bigger. And their reconstructed side has stayed smaller. Maybe they've had an implant and they don't fill the front of a bra. So we have lots of different shapes and fittings and thicknesses, pieces that can be worn. You can see how thin these edges are. You can see through it. It takes the color of the skin of the person wearing it and blends those edges in.
That's really helpful
little
too.
Pieces that, help push up, and just lots of different things that we make for all sorts of reasons and needs.
And that's one thing I've noticed too, for those of us who've also had radiation, that even after a year after radiation, the radiated chest and breast actually changes as well. So
very much so.
Yeah. So that's great that you have, kind of something for everyone, depending on where they are.
Yeah.
What are some questions women should ask when they're considering getting fitted for a breast form? Like, how do they even, I don't even know where to begin.
Yes. So when you're looking for a location, you want to ask them, look online, first of all, at different products. We as women, when we buy something like a washer and dryer, we're online and we research it and we know what washer and dryer we want before we've gone in to buy it, right? But when it comes to buying a breast form, most women know nothing about it and they go into that store and they're at the mercy of the fitter. Go online, look at the different things that you want. Do you want Comfort Plus in your prosthesis? Do you want a prosthesis that attaches to you? Do you want an adjustable breast form? Do you want a custom-made breast form? We make custom breast forms right now where people can choose different things that are put into a breast form for them. look at those things. And then when you phone to make an appointment, ask them, how long will the fit-in take? Do you have the products in store, or will you need to order them for me? If you found the product that you want online, like I would like a contact form, do you carry Amoena contact forms? Do you carry the Amoena Adapt-Air form if you want to have one that adjusts to you? Do you carry the Amoena custom form? Do you have the ability to make an Amoena custom form for me? Make sure that you ask those questions. Does my insurance cover this for me? Are you a provider for my insurance? Most insurances will consider coverage of a breast form every 2 years, 2 if you're bilateral, 1 if you're unilateral. Even if you've had reconstruction and you're not filling the front of the bra, your insurance will consider coverage for that. If you wear a prosthesis, whether it's a partial prosthesis or a full one, the insurance will consider coverage sometimes of 3 to 6 bras. Ask them, how many bras will my insurance consider coverage for? Find out those things before you walk in the door. And then when you're in there and you're being fit, ask them if they're trying to sell you something that's not what you've asked for. If you said, I really would like an Amoena custom form, and they go, well, we don't have the Amoena custom form. We have this, another company's custom form. You're well within your rights to say, I don't think this is right for me. I need to find someone that will do this for me. Never be in a location that you're not getting the best service for you. Know that you can always say no, and that you can always find something, better for you. Now, saying that, most locations out there that carry out products, they are like your best friends when you go in. They will do the best for you. They take you under their wing. They'll show you different things. They'll guide you and help you. But there are some locations that you really need to know what you would like. So those are the sorts of things that I would ask, and can you swim in these? Can you exercise in these? Or, okay, I'm going to have the contact form on my insurance, and I'm going to pay the upgrade for that. But I also would like to have an Adapt-Air form that adjusts to me, because I'm gardening and I want to wear that in the garden, or I'm a runner and I want to wear the Adapt-Air while I'm running, and I want to wear the contact form the rest of the time. You're not stuck to just one prosthesis. Think about everything that you wear. Do you have only one of that? So think of something that you wear every day. Do you just have one of that item? You and I are both wearing glasses. This is not the only pair of glasses that I have, and I'm sure that's not the only pair of glasses you have.
No, I've totally turned my glasses into like a new fun accessory. So absolutely.
Totally. And then, bras, we don't just have one bra,
Mm-hmm.
So we have lots of different things. So just because your insurance will only consider coverage of one breast form, you can buy another breast form. They're really not that expensive.
Yes.
When you add up what we spend money on daily.
Sure.
If somebody's doing a Starbucks run every day and they're paying $5 a day, 5 times a week, it's $25.
Exactly.
And then you look at that a month, that's $100 a month that you're spending on Starbucks.
Oh my gosh, I totally fall into that category.
3 months of that, you've bought yourself a breast form.
Mm-hmm.
It's, look at things and know what's important for you. What's important for you to feel healthy and to feel confident and to feel beautiful.
Absolutely.
I think that's very important. Yeah.
And you bring up a good point too, with the insurance and covering every 2 years. Do you recommend that women change out their breast forms every couple years, or how long, what's the shelf life of it?
Yeah. Our breast forms are warranted for 2 years, as are most companies. And the life of a breast form, the common complaint for us as a company is we make too high of a quality, and our breast forms don't break down after 2 years. They do last a bit longer. But it's really important to go in and be checked and make sure that your fit is correct. Maybe you've had some weight changes. Maybe there's a new technology out there that you haven't seen since the last time. We've launched in this last, pandemic, so 2019, 2020, we've launched an Adapt-Air form and we've launched a custom form. That's 2 amazing technologies that were launched maybe since you've bought your last breast form.
Sure.
maybe you've never heard of a contact form until today, until I spoke about it.
Exactly.
So maybe that's something that you want to go in. So I would advise people to go in every 6 months to check their bra fitting, because bras only last 6 months and they should be fit every 6 months. And then, have a breast form check every 2 years and see, what's new, what's available. And always go onto the Amoena website, see what's new, look around on there. And we have lots of amazing information that you can look to see, what would be right for you.
Absolutely.
And different partnerships that we have as well. We partner with different companies such as yours, and to help in various ways. So
yes, which we're
it's
so
important to see
for.
those things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, we love that we can support your foundation. We love to do things like that. We love to give back.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, super. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Andrea. This has been so educational and helpful. I appreciate you sharing your story. I appreciate you being on our podcast and coming back and returning to continue to educate us on all of these amazing topics. And again, a huge shout out and thank you to our sponsors, Amoena. And thank you all for listening and tuning in week after week here on Breast Cancer Conversations. Please be mindful that all of our content and information is for educational purposes only and is never a substitute for medical advice. If you want to hang out, again, please check out survivingbreastcancer.org/events, where you can RSVP to our Thursday Night Thrivers weekly meetup, our Movement Monday classes, workshops, seminars, and so much more. We can also continue the dialogue online via social media. Our Instagram handle is survivingbreastcancer.org, all one word, and you can follow us on Twitter at SBC_ORG. Until next time, keep on thriving.